Thank you, Scott. Yes, so again, my name is Ryan Donnelly. I am an advocacy coordinator here at Granite State, and I'm going to show you how to navigate New Hampshire's General Court website. And just for everybody's benefit, I will paste the link to that here in the Zoom chat. And then I will go ahead and share my screen so that you can all follow along with me. All right. Is everybody able to see that? Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Excellent. Wonderful. Wonderful. So this is the home page of the New Hampshire General Court website, and this is where you can do any manner of things regarding the legislation that moves through our state house. You can follow bills, track bills, look up your legislators, and all sorts of other stuff. So to begin with, I will start right at the beginning of the process by showing you how to look up LSRs. LSRs are legislative service requests, and they are proposals for bills that our legislators file every year before the actual start of a legislative session. And the easiest way to find these LSRs is to just mouse over the House tab right here in the upper left-hand corner of the home page and just go right down here to LSR search. And we'll click that. And this will bring us to the page where we can conduct a search of all of the LSRs that are entered into the system. Now, if you have a particular topic or a term that you want to search for, you can enter it right here in this text field. But generally, it's just as useful to look at the entire list. And you can view the entire list by clicking the click here button right here to see all of the bill requests that have been entered into the system. Now, in any given session, we'll get about 1,000 LSRs entered into the system. You can see that it's a little bit less at the moment, and that is because through the usual process, there are a number of LSRs that actually end up getting withdrawn, and we'll touch on that in just a moment. As far as the actual information that's available for these LSRs, they're all numbered, generally by the order in which they're received. You also get a designation as to whether it's a House bill, a Senate bill, or sometimes something else like a constitutional amendment. And you will also get a title, which offers just a brief description of what the LSR is. We won't actually get the entire text of the bill until it's actually given a bill number and entered into another part of the system. So as part of the work that we do here at Granite State is we'll just take the entire list of LSRs and go through them one by one and identify which LSRs might be important to our organization or our consumers or just the broader disability community in general. Um, Now, as you can see, we're pretty far into the legislative process already. So all of these LSRs have bill numbers assigned to them. But when we're just starting out, we don't even have that. We just have the LSR number right here, whether it's a House bill, Senate bill, or whatever, the title, and which legislators have sponsored and co-sponsored the LSR. Now, if you want to see which LSRs have been withdrawn, we can just go back one step, back to the general page for the LSRs, and we can click right here to view the withdrawn LSRs. And these are LSRs that have been removed from the process, usually because another legislator may have filed an LSR that is very similar and does the same thing, or perhaps a legislator felt they weren't able to get enough support for what they wanted to do with the bill. Uh, so it is helpful to look at this from time to time, especially if you've uh, compiled an earlier list of LSRs and you're wondering, well, gee, what's going on with this? Why doesn't it have a bill number? And a good reason for that might be that it's been withdrawn. Uh, Now, if you are compiling a list of these LSRs, a real handy tool can be found right here, this download CSV file button. What that'll do is it'll let you download a spreadsheet file of all the LSRs right off the bat, and that can be opened in pretty much any spreadsheet program like Microsoft Excel or whatever. So it really it saves you the hassle of having to copy everything down and paste it and work it all out yourself. Now we can go back to the home page at any time by clicking this banner right at the top. And now the next step is, once an LSR has been properly filed and assigned a bill number and all that, then it actually becomes a bill. And we can search for any bill that we would like to follow right here in this box on the home page for current bills. If we just click this magnifying glass right here without entering anything in this text field, we'll get the entire list of bills that are in the current session. Uh, it's a pretty long list. It can take a long time for that list to generate. So what I will do instead is I will just search for a single bill to use as an example. And for this, I will be using Senate Bill 36 as an example of what you can see when you go to look up a bill. And we'll just click the magnifying glass there. And here we are. So this is the bill search results page. If you did search for the entire list of bills, the entire list would be right here. Or if you're searching for individual bills or just a small group, again, it'll show up here. And you can see we've got a small summary of what's going on with that bill. But we can get a little more detail if we just actually click the bill number right here. So doing that, we end up on the bill details page for this bill. We can see the title of the bill, we can see all of the sponsors, and now we can see what committee it's been assigned to and what's been going on with the bill via the bill docket. So the bill docket will include everything that's happened with the bill since it's been introduced. Anytime there is a public hearing or an executive session or if an amendment to the bill has been posted, it'll all be put right here. And if we actually want to read the text of the bill, we can do that through here as well. So under bill versions, we can click introduced. This is just the initial version of the bill. If there are any amendments that are posted for this bill later, those will be listed underneath. And clicking that introduced button will pull up the actual bill text as it's been introduced into the system. A lot of them can be a long read. They can be a complicated read. It's certainly taken me a little while to figure out how to parse the language, but it's great that we have this. If you want to download a copy or view it as a PDF, you have that option as well, just by clicking the PDF button right here next to introduce. And that can be viewed on any kind of PDF reader, or you can download it to your computer or tablet or whatever else you are using to navigate the general court website.
Hey, Ryan,
Yes.
quick question. So
Sure.
next to the title, Senate Bill 36, what
Yep.
does the initials FN indicate?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
The next to the title, the initials FN.
Oh, FN,
What
fiscal
does that
note.
indicate?
Yes. I'm sorry. Yep, that stands for fiscal note. So a fiscal note is attached to any bill that is expected to have some kind of financial impact or may need some kind of appropriation through the state budget. And actually, I'm glad you asked that, because there are a lot of acronyms that are used on the bill dockets and throughout the general court website. And it can be a little confusing for somebody who's not familiar with those to figure out what those are. And there's actually a listing of those abbreviations. And the easiest way that I found to get to that is on the home page. If you go under advanced bill search and click that, and then you don't need to enter anything, just hit the submit button on this advanced bill search. Click on any old bill docket on this page here. And then right here, we have a link that says docket abbreviations. And if we click on that, it'll have all of the abbreviations that are used on the bill docket throughout the site and what they stand for. It's a little annoying that there's no way to get to that on the new layout. The advanced bill search actually uses the older legacy layout before the general court website got revamped a few years ago. But this is the easiest way that I found to get to that list of abbreviations. If there's something on a bill docket that you don't quite understand the meaning of.
So save it to your desktop.
Yes.
So Ryan,
I
is that
definitely
list alphabetical?
It is in alphabetical order. Yeah.
The only reason I'm asking is because Mike has a question about what does HR stand for when he has seen HR?
Okay. HR would be, and I don't know why that isn't on here, but HR would be House resolution is what that would stand for.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so I will bring us back to the home page, and the next thing that I will show off is rather late in the legislative process. When a bill has moved through one chamber, so say it's gone through the House and it's moved over to the Senate, and the Senate decides to make changes to that bill that the House doesn't agree on, they will often go into what is called a committee of conference. And that committee of conference will have representatives from the House and from the Senate, to kind of hash things out and see if they can come to a compromise on how to move forward with the bill. And the easiest way that I found
Hey, Ryan,
to, yes,
can I interrupt you for 1 second?
sure,
Um, Two things. One of them kind of housekeeping. Somebody is coughing from time to time. So if you could mute your microphones, that would be great, please. And to you, I was going to ask, if we go back to House Bill 36, Senate
sure,
Bill rather,
yep,
and open up, yeah. I just wanted to comment that under hearing reports, sometimes you can find a report of a hearing, sort of who testified and what was said. Seems like they don't always have these. A lot of committees do them, and they could
mm,
be helpful if you weren't there.
okay,
That's all.
yeah,
I just
thank you. No, thank you for pointing that out. Yep, and same deal with the hearing reports. You can view those within the browser, or you can download a PDF and save it locally. Uh, so back to the committees of conference, the easiest way that I found to look up any committees of conference would be to go to the House's homepage. So the Senate and the House both have their own home pages. And then if we go under the committees tab, we have a committees of conference section. Now, unfortunately, there isn't anything for me to really show you here right now because we're still very early in the legislative process for this year. So no bills have actually entered committee of conference yet. But when they do, all those bills will be listed here, and you can view the same sort of details that you'd be able to with other bills. And obviously, if you have bills that you're following that have entered committee of conference, any any hearings or any work that's being done on those will be posted on the bill docket like they would for any other bill. But this is just another way to kind of keep track of those bills that have specifically entered committee of conference. Uh, Now, if we go back,
Ryan, while you're
yes,
navigating, may I ask you a question?
sure.
So when we saw the initials HR for House resolution, does that mean that something has happened where there's resolution to it, or does it mean that it's passed on to the next body? Like, is there a definition to why something has House resolution HR on it?
Um, no, it's not something that's moved along in that process. I think Jeff might be able to define what
Ryan,
a
I
House
can actually jump
resolution.
in if you like.
Oh, sure, that'd be fine.
This is actually an easy one for Mike and Deb, and I know Jeff knows this really well. I'm just excited to participate. A House resolution does not carry the full effect and force of a regular bill. A resolution is more like a public statement of support or opposition that is put in writing and voted on. So, for example, a bill might be raising taxes, passing a new law, creating some type of a policy. A House resolution would be something along the lines of the New Hampshire House supports the nation of Ukraine in its war against Russia, or something to that effect. It does not carry the full effect of law. It's more like staking out a position on an issue or something similar to that, where it goes through a committee debate and then there's a final vote only in the House, and that's the end of it. There are Senate resolutions as well, but that's the extent of that debate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Sure.
Yes. And I know in addition to that, there are House concurrent resolutions, and then we also have constitutional amendments that, if they pass, could end up on a ballot to be voted on, things of that nature. So as we saw, every bill is assigned to a particular committee in both the House and the Senate. And if you want to look up those committees, the easiest way to do that is to just open the House or Senate tab, depending on which committees you want to look up. And we will go to standing committees. So standing committees are just the regular perennial committees that are divided by subject matter. So we've got children and family law, commerce and consumer affairs, criminal justice and public safety, the list goes on. So if we were to click on any of these particular committees, we can get a look at the entire roster of that committee: chairman, vice chairman, clerk, and any additional members that are on the committee. Through this page, we can also take a look at which bills have been assigned to that committee, which bills have been referred to that committee, get a look at the mailing list, which I will click on right here. And this would be if you wanted to write a letter to a particular legislator through snail mail. You would have their name and address here. Not all legislators post their home addresses, as you can see, but most of them do. So this is one way to reach a particular legislator if you don't want to call or email them.
Ryan, are those names clickable?
On this list, they are not,
Huh.
but you can click any of their names here on the committee's page.
Oh, okay.
So for example, if we were to check out the chairman of the Commerce and Consumer Affairs Committee, we can look at his profile. It'll have his home address and phone number. If he's posted it, it'll have his posting and just a brief summary of his personal biography and his involvement with local government. Through here, we can also take a look at any of the bills that this legislator has sponsored in the session, and we can also take a look at their voting record.
So
And
Ryan,
that,
can I pause for a second to
Sure.
have Mike pose a question?
sure.
Thanks, Ryan. Hey, Hampshire, does every bill have to go to committee? It used to be the joke that you want to kill a bill, you send it to committee. But does every bill go to a committee?
Every bill is assigned to a committee.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
This-
No problem.
This is Jeff. The other thing is, in New Hampshire, every bill will also get a hearing, regardless.
Mhm.
Every bill gets a hearing.
And those hearings are all open to the public. Let's see. Okay. So we've taken care of committees. Now, if you want to do that on the Senate side, it's pretty much the same process. Go to standing committees. And same deal. We can click on any of these individuals and get a look at their profile. You can see the layout is a little different between the House and the Senate sides of the website. They kind of maintain their own sections in their own way, but it's all pretty much the same. And again, we can click and oh, that's interesting. Huh. Clicking on the link here for the bills that they sponsored, it just brings me back to the Senate roster. That's interesting. I guess that's something they'll need to fix. And going back to the home page here. So if you wanted to find a particular legislator, such as your local legislator, there's a couple ways to do that. But the easiest way that I have found to do that is to go under the House tab and click on the House roster. And if we click on the House roster, we've got a couple different options here. We have a real nice interactive map where we can click on an individual county, for example, pull that up, and then we get a map of every town within that county. So if I was to go to Merrimack County, for example, and click on Concord, we would get an entire listing of the representatives in Concord, broken down by district and which ward that they represent. So larger cities and towns in our state are broken up into wards. If you don't happen to know which ward you live in, you can go to your town's website. Most town websites will have a map or directory breaking down which streets are in which ward and all that, or you can contact your town clerk. And the nice thing is, even though we're on the House side of the website right now, using that map will actually show us the state senator for the Concord area as well. So there's really no need to go to the Senate side in order to find your legislator. If you don't want to use the map, you can also use this drop-down menu and just pick an individual town. It's all in alphabetical order, and it'll pull up the same results. So for example, if we selected Candia, same deal, list of all the reps for Canada, or Candia rather, and the state senator. All right. So let's say that you've been following a bill and you know that there is a public hearing coming up and you'd like to weigh in on it, either submit testimony or just mark your position one way or the other if you're in favor of it or opposed to it. This is a relatively new feature to the general court website, but you can actually do this online now. And we can do this right on the home page under this meeting resources section. So for the House, we've got a link here for the House sign-in form and online testimony submission. And if we click that, we are presented with a form that we can fill out, just entering our name, town we're from, email address, and then to actually pick which bill and public hearing that you want to weigh in on, we can select a date from this calendar. So if we were to, oh, I think I have to actually fill this out. Oh, here we go. And then we can select the committee. And I will just pick one at random here as an example. House Education, get an additional drop-down menu where we can see all of the bills that are being heard for that day and what time the hearing is scheduled to begin. We can indicate what we are. Most people, of course, will be simply saying that they're a member of the public, but if you were registered as a lobbyist or if you were a staff member of a state agency, you could indicate that. You can indicate who you're representing. If you're just a member of the public, you would just say that you're representing yourself. But for someone like me, for example, if I'm weighing in on a bill, I would indicate that I would be representing Granite State Independent Living. And same as well if you were from another organization that you needed to represent on a particular matter. You can indicate your position on a bill. And in addition, you can remotely upload any written testimony that you'd like to give to the committee. Now, it's important to note that as far as written testimony goes, you can only submit that in PDF format. So you can't just send a text document or a Word document. It has to be a PDF. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just type your testimony in this text field and enter it. And if we go back, the Senate has their own system. And it's pretty much the same thing, just laid out a little differently, where everything is done in multiple steps. Unfortunately, on the Senate side of things, they do not allow you to submit written testimony directly through this form. So if there is a bill that you would like to submit testimony on, you will have to look up the committee that bill is being heard on and email them or call them or write to them yourself. You won't be able to do it through this form, but you will at least be able to indicate your position on a particular bill.
So Ryan, can I take a second? Mike has a question.
Sure.
Thanks, Ryan. Sorry to keep asking questions, but relative to written testimony, Do
Mhm.
you know how that gets recorded, and does it show up in the notes? Does the chairperson get it? Does the office get it distributed to the committee members? What's the process when you submit? Once you submit it, how does it get to them, and how do you confirm that they got it? I guess I'm sure
Right,
you guys
right,
have done that.
sure. Well, on the House side of things, it's actually really easy. So if you submit
Mhm.
testimony on the House side through that form, it'll be distributed to all the members of the committee that are hearing that bill, and there will be a record of it on the general court website. If we click on this view House online testimony submissions, we can just click on a committee and just a random bill. Oh, nobody submitted anything for that one. Let's find something else.
This could be a tough search, Ryan, because I'm not sure how many hearings we've even gotten to at this
No, not
point.
many. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something.
There's something. Yeah. Yeah. So we can see uh, the individuals that have signed in and weighed in on this particular bill. And if we wanted to, we could even read the testimony that they submitted. Unfortunately, this is not available on the Senate side. So if you're testifying or submitting testimony to a bill that's being heard by the Senate, you want to make sure that you email the entire committee that is hearing that particular bill. And I will go through that again real quick just by going to the Senate website, going to standing committees. So let's say you were wanting to testify on
Mhm.
a bill that was being heard by Senate Commerce. What you could do is you could just click this link right here, email entire committee.
Mhm.
If you click this, it'll open up your email client and just stick all of the committee member email addresses right there in the to field. Or if you have a web-based email service like Gmail or something that wouldn't open up by clicking on this, you can just right click and select copy email address, and then you can just paste that into your Gmail or whatever when you're composing an email, and that'll send your message to the entire committee.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see. So the next thing that I want to go over is calendars and journals. So the House and the Senate all post what are called calendars and journals, and those can be viewed directly on the General Court website here. We start with a calendar. So a calendar will inform you of what's upcoming, what's going on in a particular in this particular chamber. You'll be informed on any deadlines that the House has. So we've got the deadlines on uh, when they have to get a bill out of the House, when it has to go to committee, et cetera, et cetera. Um, any bills that have been placed on the consent calendar or the regular calendar will be posted here, and the votes will be recorded as well. So the consent calendar is basically any bill that's considered to be non-controversial will be placed on consent calendar. And what that does is it allows the entire chamber, when they come together to do their votes, they will take up everything on the consent calendar at the same time, and they will vote it up or down one way or the other. Anything on a regular calendar will be taken up individually. If we scroll way down, all past this, we can also get a schedule of all the upcoming hearings that'll be coming up. And these are broken down by committee, and this is really handy, particularly if you're sitting in on a committee hearing or something and they're behind schedule, for instance, which happens a lot. So like say you're only tuning in for HB 588, which starts at 1:30. You get there at 1:30 and they're still stuck on a completely different bill. Maybe they're stuck on 504. You can look up this calendar and see, just how much more work they have to go through before they get to the bill that you're trying to focus on. So that can be useful for that. Now, if we go back to the calendar section and we go to journals, we can take a look at any journals that have been posted. So a journal is basically a transcript of what happens when the entire chamber gets together. And it'll go through their remarks and any business that they're going through, any readings of bills that they are doing. I don't find that I reference the journals all that much, but it is there and it is useful to have.
So
As
Ryan, if I may, this is Deb. I just want to do a time check, just so you
Sure.
just so you know, it's 1:45.
Okay. And the last thing that I wanted to go over is another new thing that's been added since the pandemic, and that is the ability to actually watch any House or Senate business via streaming video on YouTube. So if we click on House streaming video here, right on the home page, it'll bring us to the official YouTube channel of the New Hampshire House. So there's a few different sections here. Under the videos tab here, which is where it brings us by default, this is where they will post recordings of the entire House session when the entire chamber gets together to do their business. If we click on the live tab, we can get a look at all of the live streams that are being scheduled for upcoming hearings and committee business. And these are all broken down by the committee and the date that they're scheduled to begin. Let's see. On the home tab, if there are any committees that are broadcasting live right at this moment, that's where they'll be. And as you can see, we've got some committee business going on right now. And that is also broken down by the individual committee and the date that is being aired. So these will be public hearings, executive sessions, uh, any work sessions that need to be done. These can all be viewed by the public. Unfortunately, there's no way to actually interact with the committee through this. There's no there's no chat function or anything like that, but you can at least watch the proceedings that are going on.
I am,
And
it's Jeff.
yep,
What's it look like if you click on it? What do you get to see?
I will show you. Let's check out what fiscal's doing. And I'll just go ahead and mute this while I explain. So yeah, so this is a typical broadcast of the fiscal committee right here. And we can see the committee. Everybody's got a microphone. So if the committee has questions for anybody who's testifying, we can hear that. And obviously anybody that's testifying before the committee can be heard as well. And this is great too, because you really don't even have to watch it live if you're not able to. We can pause the video, we can go back all the way to beginning of the stream if you happen to turn up late, or if you're taking notes and you've missed something that somebody has said, for example, you can jump back a few seconds and play it again. So it's been an incredibly useful tool
Mhm.
for our work here. And all of the streams here are archived to be viewed at any time. Those archives are generally posted here under the playlists section. And again, those are all broken down by individual committee and whatnot. And this is something that's available for the House as well as the Senate. And I think that just about wraps up what I wanted to demonstrate.